So the self, you, who you think you are, a human being, you think that it's you and then everything else. You separate from the rest of the world, the self and the other. And we think that we're separate from everything else, but in reality, we are one in the same. Everything is interdependent on everything. If you think of God, what is God? God is everything. God is everywhere. God is omnipotent, omnipresent, omnibenevolent, right? And you think of what God does. God is the force of what holds everything apart and together, all at the same time, continuously happening. It's how planets stay in motion, but stay just in the right force, just tuned exactly the way they're supposed to be so that they don't spin off into space. They stay together. The same with galaxies, and everything seems to have this spiraling, this rotating nature. The electrons, the atoms inside, right? The energy, right? That we create. And so really, when you get down to the bare bones of it, what actually separates you, us human beings, from God? Because what point to me. Let's point here in the camera. Where is the human? Point to me to the part of me that's human. Is it my chest? Well, then we look at the chest. Well, so it means, when you're human, you have a chest, right? Well, what part of the chest makes me human? Makes it human. And well, it's the flesh. Well, the flesh. Okay. Well, what part of the flesh is human, and where is the human? Point to me to the human in the flesh. Well, no. So, but you have hands, right? Okay. Well, where's the human in the hand, right? So, it's the same thing when we look at an animal, right? Like a dog. Point to me to the dog, the dogness in that dog, right? Well, it's his tail, right? Well, oh, his tail. So it must be the tail that is the dog. So is this the dog of? Is this what the dog is? It's the tail? Well, no. It's so point to me to the part of this dog that is a dog, right? And so you realize that there is actually no difference between you, yourself, who you are, and God. Because what are we actually made of? Like, who are you? Well, you'll say, I'm Ricky. My name is Ricky. Well, but so you're Ricky? Well, but who are you? Like, who are you, though? Well, that's the name that they gave you, but who are you? And you realize, like, well, that is a label pointing to what I am. Am I just this big ball of flesh? Well, no, I'm more than that. Am I this like weird avatar that can control and interface with the world? But yes, you are, but we're more than that. And the more you start to really get down to it, you realize that we are energetic beings. I mean, that's just you reach that conclusion. And so what is God? God is an energetic being. Like, there is no difference between us and God, right? We simply interface with the world in the physical plane, finitely. But if you really get down to the core of who we are and what we are, we're an energetic being. We're an energetic being interfacing in the physical plane. And you, the self, are not separate from everything else. Because, see, the self, who you are, depends on the other. How would you know self if you don't know the other? That's the force that keeps everything apart and intact harmoniously. When you listen to music, what you're really listening to is not, well, what is music, right? First, you must ask. Well, music is a interplay of notes, which are intervals, right? When you hear one play an A, then you go to a B, that is an interval. So we hear the change in there, right? And then we also hear the space in between and the different patterns, right, which create music. And so the way that we recognize music is by realizing that there's a relationship between this and that. And when we call somebody that's tone deaf, that just hears noise, they don't hear the intervals, right? Well, they can't enjoy music. And most people are interfacing with life like they're tone deaf. Like they don't realize that it's not just them, it's not just me. There's an entire relationship between me and the other. I am. There is no difference between me and the other. We are both acting harmoniously together in relationship. I would not know who I am if I did not know the other. I would not know what light is if I did not know darkness. And this is when we start realizing that everything is all one in the same. There's no duality. This is when kind of the veil opens up and you realize like everything is working together cohesively. And you realize that there's this harmony in the universe that's being played, the melody that's being played in this universe, that it's really now up to us to energetically tune to that energy. If we think that we're separate from everything else, then how do we actually interface with life? And that's how most people live. They feel and they think that they're not part of this plane. They're living an individual, selfish, self-consuming reality where at the end of the day, they're not actually creating. They're simply just consuming. And if all you do is consume, then there's no relationship you're taking. And at the end of the day, God's nature is creative. That's the first thing we know about God in the Bible. In the beginning, God created. And so if we are God, right, with this argument, and we're not fully in our creative nature, embodying that, then we're separate, right? Because creativity is really an act of something interfacing with another thing, one thing manipulating another thing, one thing creating something. this pen writing with this paper, right? Creation is is the actual interface of God with this reality and us with our environment. And I think that's where we lose our sense of purpose. We lose, what is the meaning of this? And I know for me, when I'm not creating, where I just feel like I'm a cog in the wheel, where I don't feel like I'm like putting something out there where I can get some feedback, like when I'm just simply acting for myself and I don't get feedback from others, then you feel alone in this world. And that's the worst way to interface. And most people are interfacing that way with life, never getting any feedback. Just creating for themselves. But in reality, we are social creatures. We live in relationship to other things. See, in order for this pen to write, it needs a piece of paper. There is no ink. There is no ink without the paper. The ink isn't here. Well, there's no words, right? There's no words being written. There is no meaning of, the meaning of this pen is zero. There is no meaning of this pen unless it interfaces with paper. There is no meaning to a tree. For example, the tree that falls in the forest. Does it make a noise? Well, for a noise to exist, there needs to be an eardrum to translate the vibrations in the air into noise. Your brain, noise happens inside our brain. Vibrations in the air does happen, but in order for noise to exist, in order for words to exist, there needs to be something that can interface, that can transmit those words, that can transmit the sound. And us, we work the same way. When we tune to the energy of God into this universe, we become the pen. We become the pen interfacing with the paper. We become the words. And all those things are one and the same. It's God in physical form. It's Jesus coming, the person that did it the best ever, interfacing as in the physical plane as God. Fully aligned to that energy, fully aligned to that purpose. Surrendered into that. So we question if, what is our purpose? What am I supposed to do? I think the only thing that we're supposed to do is find stillness, peace, and quiet so that we can find the signal. Sometimes we don't find that signal because we're too busy taking action. We're too busy anxiously making chaotic movements that don't lead us anywhere. It's not productive steps forward because we're not fully listening. But when you listen and you wait, you hold still, you be still and know that I am God. See, God keeps it really simple. He keeps it really simple. Just be still. Like, why have free will? I heard this from my mentor. Why have free will? Just wait for the instructions. Find peace and quiet. Wait for the instructions, and the words will come out. Whenever you're writing, sometimes the words just come. The words happen on the page. Anyways, hope that helped. Hope that brings you a little bit of peace. We're all co-creating this reality together. We're all in this together. Nobody's alone. If we all just look after one person, be a little bit more grateful for this body that you have, you get to interface this world with. Take a little bit more care of yourself. Take a little bit more care of one more person. Because we're all in this weird, you really think of the weirdness of this reality. It's weird, man. What's going on here? And most people are just interfacing by themselves, not realizing that there's an entire relationship with the higher being that's taking place. That's taking place. Dancing harmoniously through this reality. It's wild. So, my friend, hope that helped. Hope you have a beautiful weekend, and I love you. I'll see you later.